And welcome inside the Backstage Pass here for a Thursday. Hard to believe it's almost the middle of May coming up next week. And I'm just a week out from headed down to Alabama and Glenwood. It's the Festival at the Well, headlining Nashville recording artist Ashton Shepard. And of course, you guys can get your tickets and check out her socials. And make sure you do that. And definitely we'll have a good old time down there with some amazing artists opening for Ashton. It's the Festival at the Well, May 21st, coming up next week. And we'll start talking about May being over and June right on the horizon, no doubt about it. Again, Brandon Morrell here, flying solo here in the Backstage Pass. Kirsty Krause, of course, will come back hopefully tomorrow and next week. And next week should see the return of my good friend Nick Canizales on here. We're presented by our good friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. If you hadn't checked them out, what are you waiting on? Bangtail.com. And, of course, easyliquor.com is the best way to get a great bottle of whiskey sent right to your door. Of course, MitchMacs.com and our good friends at Hank Jr. Productions. So pleased to tell you what, to welcome in today a South Carolina native. It's been a long time since we've had somebody from South Carolina here on the show. He loves country music, and the latest EP across the platforms is I'm Not There Yet. Hayden Joseph joins us here on the program. Hayden, how you doing?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me.
You got it, man. We appreciate you being a part of this. Well, I tell you what, let's talk about that, because no strangers to that country music scene, and you're kind of blending a little bit of that modern country and a little bit of pop based on a lot of your favorites growing up and people you grew up listening to. Tell me about the connection to music and kind of when it got started. I know that Garth and Shania and Taylor Swift had a lot to do with the melodies and the sound they brought to their records and their albums, things like that. Influence of everything. And it seems like you guys, you got connected to this from an early age as an artist. You're like, man, this is what I want to do, right?
Yeah, actually being honest, I probably am a little different than most artists in that I didn't necessarily always say this is exactly what I wanted to do. It's pretty level-headed growing up, if we're being really honest. I went to college actually in Nashville. I went to Vandy back in the day and kind of pursued a very traditional corporate career path and did this as a side thing my whole life. So I was in performing arts groups in college, but it wasn't really until after I graduated and that part of my life kind of was pulled out from under me cold turkey almost, that I really realized how important it was to me. I was really unhappy working like a super corporate job in New York City, usually like 80-hour weeks and not getting to do anything creative. And that was kind of the point in my life where I realized that I needed to do something along these lines to feel truly fulfilled. And started very gradually. I worked in the music industry for a while and said, if I can work around it, that's probably enough. And then that gradually became releasing my own music. And then that gradually became moving to Nashville. And now, we're super deep into this now. It's been years at this point, but it was not an overnight journey or a lifelong decision by any means, if that makes sense.
Well, you took that dream, and like you said, I used to do that 70-hour week, and I still do, some hours with, like I said, the current day job I have. But at the same time, those 70, 80-hour weeks, I had to scale back too. Like, you had to go do something for fun. And I said, if I can just do a couple hours out of the day where I can just do something I enjoy like this right here, I'm going to do that and just cut down on some of the other corporate type hours. Let's dive into the EP. I'm Not There Yet, which is across all the platforms. Man, really interesting the way you put out your lyrics, and I love the melodies and things that are very different out there too. Basically just kind of telling your story and talking about what I like about it is just many walks of life, many things that occur, personal experiences. I kind of feel that through the record too, at the same thing. Breaking barriers, if you will. Describe that to me. Describe the songs, the EP, and kind of let people know that, man, what's on your sleeve, you tell it in songs.
Yeah, so the biggest thing for me, I know that there are the country purists of the world that will tell you that country music kind of needs to sound a certain way, and they don't want it to really differentiate from that all too much. They think it's a negative. I really think country music is more grounded, though, in telling universal stories. The biggest difference to me between country and pop music is country music still has narrative lyrics. I hope it always has narrative lyrics that have a beginning, a middle, and an end and tell a story that the listener can relate to. I think country radio has taken that concept and kind of put it into a box a little bit. Not necessarily country radio, but, many country formats have taken that and put it into a box and said, only these types of stories can be told. And I think we've gotten further and further away from hearing a song that is relatable to everyone. You listen to what's on the radio now, and it's very, very clearly marketed to a specific demographic of people. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Oh, something just fell off my counter. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but I think there's a massive portion of people, women, people that don't necessarily work a certain type of job, or people don't drive certain types of vehicles or drink certain types of drinks, I think there's certain, like, a big population of people that is not spoken to by those songs anymore. And I certainly am not. I mean, there are many things about me that grew up loving country music, but at the end of the day, like, I'm openly gay. I've lived in big cities. I live in Nashville now, but there are just things in my life that are different than a lot of what mainstream country radio talks about. And the biggest thing for me was I want to write songs that are relatable to as many people as possible, but don't sacrifice who I feel like I am and what I want to say. Sometimes that takes some mental gymnastics, if we're being really honest. Like, for me, as like an openly gay individual, to write songs I feel like are relatable to everyone, it requires me sometimes not using certain pronouns. It requires me saying things via innuendos that can be interpreted in multiple ways versus just coming out and saying sometimes what I want to say. I do that very intentionally. Some might view that as like an unfair burden that is placed on certain people. I view that as my way of saying what I want to say, but also saying that there's no reason this can't be marketable to everybody. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be seen as a country star that is only for a certain type of people. I want to be seen as a musician that really does try to write things that can speak to everyone. It's not always possible, but I do the best I can.
Yeah.
I feel like I might have danced around your question a little bit.
No, you're good. It kind of hits on my next question right there, follows up, segue into it, is the leadoff song. As I always say, that song that captures, for me, when I listen to a record, I get a chance to listen to all songs, not just one that may be the big radio hit or something like that. I want to hear everything from beginning to end, whether it be a short 5-song EP, like I said, full-length album that has, like I said, 10, 14 songs, whatever it is. So I get a chance to kind of break down, because lyrics do mean a lot to me. And it really led off. You guys picked a great title for it. I'm Not There Yet, which is the EP out there. And that song really led off everything, set the tone for it, and kind of all the way down to the 6-song EP. Let's kind of dive into that one a little bit. I talk about the background of that one and kind of where it came from and kind of where it was born, and I guess the writing behind it.
Yeah, so I'm Not There Yet. This is probably something that will just be pleasing to me as the artist and will go unnoticed to a lot of other people. But the first half of the album is this 6-track EP. There's 6 to 8 more songs coming. The full album is going to be titled Here. There's another song titled Here, and the halfway point was titled I'm Not There Yet. So this is kind of the midway point. The song was written when I was about 1.5 years into living in Nashville in the middle of COVID. I still do work a day job. I got to pay for this, got to pay my rent, got to pay my bills. Every part of my life is so scheduled. It's so scheduled. To do this correctly, it requires a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of willingness to just be told no, and a lot of motivation to do things that you're not being forced to do. But it can feel like you are just drowning. Like, every minute of your life is scheduled. You're constantly doing something. You're not always seeing results. And the song was really just about like feeling completely overwhelmed. Like, you're always going, but you're not necessarily seeing forward progress. My first album was really cohesive in the sense of it was 10 years worth of songs. It was the first album I put out. So I had 10 plus years of songs that really told the story of coming of age. That was a coming of age story. You got pieces of my life from childhood to my early 20s. This album is way more point in time. It's way more about me as a young adult trying to figure out like how to be fulfilled. Trying to figure out how to chase a dream, trying to figure out how to find your place in this world, more or less, is more the theme of this album. And I think that track does a good job of just saying, like, a lot of people in their mid to late 20s feel completely lost. And I'm certainly one of those people a lot of the time.
Yeah, it really does too, no doubt. And like I said, there was one I'm going to ask you about here in a little bit. I mean, Fallen was kind of second on the album, Book Beside Your Bed. The interesting one I loved, when it came down to it, as far as the twist that you put on it, and your lyrics in it, The Guy After the Guy. So that was one of those songs that, again, you kind of look at too as well. You got Out as well. I mean, just a little bit of everything for everybody too. And it's not just your standard country album. I mean, no offense to that. Like I said, it's just respect to all the music everybody puts out at the same time. But your writing behind it, sincerity, and like you said, kind of describing things that you went through from a personal basis are definitely on this EP. And of course, like I said, I always tell people, be sure and check out the website out there, HaydenJosephMusic.com. Make sure you guys do that and check out everything. I want to talk about Different because I had a chance to listen to that a little bit today, and I know it was released last spring. But I tell you what, reached a point in the show. If you want to play one for us here from the record, if you want to play a song, let's do that.
Sure, I will. Let me see if this is good and tuned. I had back-to-back work meetings prior to this, so I have not had a chance to make sure it is in line. It should be okay. It looks like it's good enough. Good enough. Sure. Let's start. I'll play out.
Here we go.
I'm a little bit close to the camera, but you can't see my guitar.
Here we go.
I'm out of line, I feel it coming now. It's in my mind and it's finding its way down. I see the world starting to come around. I think it's time I found my own way out. Turn the lights, call the time, it's mine to cash out. Get to work and try to max, will never tap out. Burn strong, but now I've run out of fears and doubts, so I won't back. I'm stepping out of the woods, feet don't fail me now. These times are changing, uncovering new grounds. For so long I hid within the crowd. The world is ready for how I'm speaking. Turn the lights, call the time, it's mine to cash out. Get to work and try to max, will never tap out. Burn strong, but now I've run out of fears and doubts, so I won't back. I'm stepping out from under the burden on my shoulders. No time to waste, I'm only getting older. I'm finally free, I want the world to see every part of me, oh yeah. Turn the lights, call the time, it's mine to cash. Get to work and try to max, will never tap. Been burned strong, but now I've run out of fears and doubts. And I won't back, I'm stepping out. I'm speaking out. I'm running out of fear and doubt, so I won't back. I'm coming.
Love it there, man. I tell you what, great tone in your voice too, man. Very subtle tone. Love it right there too. And it's just like I said, great vocals and a song that really is kind of saying what I've already said here on the show a couple of times too. Just letting it go and figuring out who you are in life. The entire record kind of feels that way too. Again, I'm not there yet. Hayden Joseph here on the Backstage Pass. We're live on the Backstage Pass YouTube channel, and of course, we're live at the sportsguyspodcast.com. Always some ranting and raving going on there too at the same time with music and sports. So make sure you guys check that out, and also check out HaydenJosephMusic.com as well. We're going to get a word in for Bangtail Whiskey and our friends over at MitchMacs. More to talk about off the record. Again, I'm not there yet, which is across all the digital platforms. Make sure you guys go check it out. And yeah, definitely going to come back and talk about the record last spring, spring of 2021. So hang tight. More to come here. It's the Backstage Pass. It's Brandon and Hayden Joseph here. Hang tight. We're coming right back.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. Front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And, of course, wrap up the week tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Another great artist coming on. Clay Airy is going to join us tomorrow. Be sure and check that out at 4 o'clock on the YouTube channel. And, of course, coming up there at the SportsGuysPodcast.com, back here presented by Bangtail Whiskey and our good friends at MitchMacs.com, the official merchandise provider of the show. And, of course, Hank Jr. Productions, great production company out of Florida. They do podcasting, videography, and photography. So there you go. You get 3 in 1 right there of some great services. Check them out, HankJrProductions.com. Next week, some great shows lined up. Texas country artist and Nashville artist Colby Cooper is going to stop by. Another great artist, Drew Cooper. So we get to do a little Cooper two-step. A lot of fun things coming up next week. So be sure and stay tuned for that. Back here with Hayden Joseph on the Backstage Pass. We're just talking about the latest EP. I'm Not There Yet across all the platforms. Let's kind of dive into another one. The Guy After the Guy. And I found that one to be the 4th track on the record. Give me the backstory of that one. And was that... I guess from your perspective, I mean, speaking from the heart, all these songs really touch on a lot of different things out there. You put your own twist on some great music on the album too. Where did that one kind of come from?
Yeah, honestly, well, ironically, this one was actually inspired by the person I'm currently dating. I just thought they were using me as a rebound, and I guess allegedly they weren't. No, very much were not. But really, it wasn't. That was about more than obviously just like a singular situation. It was more of just a built-up frustration over a similar thing happening multiple different times in the span of a couple of years. I think a lot of people can relate to what it feels like to kind of know you're being used as a rebound and occasionally just like let it happen. Maybe some people are stronger than I am, but I've very, very much been aware of the fact that I'm a rebound when it's been occurring and kind of let it go several times. So yeah, that's generally what the song is about. It's just meant to be kind of sung in the third person. You're talking to a friend, but like he's the guy after the guy. And then, well, we know how it is, but
right. Like I said, they do know how it is. You know, like I said, everybody that's lived life, you see this gray hair. I always talk about this gray hair up here. I'm just glad I still have hair up here too, because like I said, definitely. I know exactly where you're coming from. Let's talk about the record last year that did real well for you guys. I know we were kind of a year into the pandemic. So the spring of last year, I can't believe we're saying like 2022 and almost halfway through this now, but Different comes out. And so another great line of songs, another great record you guys put out there. Kind of hit on some highlights of that one and take me back a little bit to now this EP being out and what you remember best about Different coming out in the spring of 2021.
Yeah, I mean, so honestly, the process for both albums for me was incredibly different. No pun intended. But with the first record, it was kind of born out of this passion project. I'd started this new job. Actually working for Warner Music Group in New York in 2018 now. So this is 4 years ago. And was doing all this work on independent artists and how easy it was for independent artists to release music through all these new digital channels, and was basically like, why am I not doing this with my own music? And so I kind of made it a goal for myself. I was like, I'm going to record an album and put music out. I had no idea how I was going to do it, but I decided I was going to do it. And so like started in my New York City bedroom, like, the songs I'd written mostly by myself, found these producers on these forums online and started producing tracks remotely. I could barely afford it. My job did not pay well enough at that time to really do this, but I really wanted to. And started getting tracks produced. They all took months because it was via email. And I was like recording vocals on this like crappy at-home mic and sending them back and forth. But what resulted was that album. And that entire album was recorded remotely using like very basic software and a very like boilerplate mic on my own computer. And so I'm really proud of that album. Every single song on that album I wrote completely alone. So there were really no co-writers on that album. And it's just me. Like the entire album is literally just me talking, and it's a story of my life from the first song I'm a kid to the final songs I'm like very much an adult, like kind of feeling like I need to do something new. But it sounds totally different, I think, than the writing still sounds like me, but it sounds different than my new album because the new album has co-writers, which was new to me when I moved to Nashville early 2020. So about 2 years ago now. It's got co-writers, the producers in Nashville, I'm in the room with them. I'm involved in every single line of like, I don't like this guitar, change it. So like the new album, I think, is just crisper and new writers have brought new perspectives and new sounds. So like they sound different, but different, no pun intended again. But I'm very, very, very proud of both of them because they represent very distinct parts of my life and part of this journey to me.
Yeah, it really does. And one that hit home with me on backs of the album Different, which came out last year, spring of 2021, was The Only One Who's Praying, if I got that title correctly. Love that title. And the fact is, again, you can kind of feel a little bit more of that. You know, we've all experienced pain. We've all experienced loss, heartache in our life and everything out there too at the same time. And I think that we all know we're not alone. And so I think a lot of times different voices speak to us from time to time. And that's a song right there. In fact, I'm interested to kind of learn a lot about that one. And honestly, it hit home with me. It did.
Yeah. When I wrote that song, I was not sure if anyone else would feel the same way, but every single time I like played it early on when I was still testing it out, everyone's reaction was really similar, which is why I like knew I needed to record it. Sort of that behind me. It's just like, hopefully all of us are lucky enough to have a parent that you like genuinely know only wants what's best for you. And that is the general sense of the general point behind that song is that my mother, prior to me having like a serious long-term relationship, would always be asking, if you're seeing anybody. My grandma too, it kind of extends to all maternal figures. And so it was more just, the song was just about like, yeah, I get it. I know you want that. Like, obviously I want that too. I might not say it all the time, but and so it's a comforting thing. I'm not a very religious person, if I'm being honest, despite there being, references to religions in my music. It's more of a product of my upbringing, my family being religious and believing in a higher power. And I think praying to me is more just like, there's always that hope there. I hope for it too.
I was going to ask you about that. Speaking of that whole album too, another career achievement. That thing went over 500,000 streams. When you got that news, what was your first reaction after 500,000 streams from the album?
Honestly, I can't believe people are listening to hours worth of me singing. Like the wonders of the internet, man. If you told me, a year before I put that out that 500,000 people would get a hold of it, obviously that's small potatoes to like the superstars of the world, but there was a time when I was trying to get 1,000 streams, and so like to think that the goal used to be 1,000, and now the goal's 1 million. So goalposts are moving, and it's important to sit still and kind of reflect on the things you have accomplished. Really thankful to TikTok for like helping me make that happen, honestly.
And I know everybody says that too, and I've yet to do a TikTok, but that's in the works right now for the show here too. I'm not very much. Like I said, love being on camera here, love doing the shows, but like making one every 10 seconds or every minute or every 2 minutes, I'm just not one to keep making a whole bunch of videos outside of what I do already. But there's some TikTok stars out there. It's amazing how many people are on that thing, and I hear stories every day about that too at the same time. Well, I'll tell you what, back to the current record, I'm Not There Yet, from Hayden Joseph, which is across all the platforms. Let's talk about Fallen, because I kind of mentioned I'm Not There Yet set the tone for the album, and you get into song 2, and then a lot of people say, this is a great, again, roller coaster ride of life's ups and downs. Fallen kind of describes a lot of what you've gone through too, right?
Yeah, it does. And if I'm being very honest, when I wrote it, that one wasn't even written as autobiographical as it kind of became. Like it really fit into the album better than I expected it to at the time, because the album ended up having kind of different pieces. So the first half you're kind of introduced to me as like cynical and a little bit lost. Like I'm not there yet. There's the cynical song, like The Guy After the Guy, and there's a little bit of just like disillusionment going on. And the second half of the album, Fallen, kind of represents a little bit of a turn in emotion where like I meet someone, I'm in a serious relationship. And so there's like it's a good tonal shift into the period of my life that I've entered, that the songs that are still to come out on this album will kind of portray. But I'm really proud of that song because it was one of the first times I walked in with like a reference track or like a mood that I wanted to write to, rather than like a really specific story. Usually I come in with a title and a feeling and I'm like, this is what I want. For that one, I walked in and it was like, I really want to write a song about fall, because there's so many songs about winter and summer. There's really no song about this season, and it's by far the most romantic season. And I want it to sound like Taylor Swift's Red album. Can we do that? And I think the producer did a really good job with those requests.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's have you play one more here from the record. I'm Not There Yet across all the platforms, and definitely check it out, HaydenJosephMusic.com, out there across all the platforms. We're live on the Backstage Pass YouTube channel, and of course live at our website, the sportsguyspodcast.com. Don't forget, we'll have some rant and raving tonight. The NFL schedule comes out tonight, 2022 football. I'm excited to see who my Cardinals are going to play, and of course the Cowboys, and of course all the set times and dates and things like that, opponents, and always fun to get the NFL schedule released. That means fantasy football, Hayden. So I love fantasy football. That's something I jump into every year. And my friends and coworkers and people just get addicted to it. And you get a chance to manage your own team. Once you know a schedule and you know the opponents, it becomes very dangerous. So we compete, man, at a very, very high level, no doubt about it. Hey, off this record, what's up next now?
Let's see. I guess I can play the title track.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah. Hope I remember the chords. I'm going to be really honest. I'm really bad at remembering the chords to my own songs. And I will also tell you, I have been getting noise complaints in this apartment for unrelated reasons. So I'm like singing kind of quiet. So I hope you guys can hear me.
It sounds good.
Okay, good.
Here we go.
I've been saying yes too often. I've been careless with my time. Not watching where I'm walking, push ahead to feel behind. Am I busy to be busy? Am I closer to my dreams? Back and forth gets dizzy, caught in circles, oh it seems. I'm spinning my wheels, wasting my gas, following bad directions. Every turn I feel I'm going too fast, think I drove right past the exit. I've been ready, I've been set, I keep going but I forget where I'm even headed. I just know I'm not there yet. Gotta redefine my dreams and remember why I'm here. Start doing things for me, I've only got so many years. Say yes to making progress and say no to wasting time. It'll be complex if you're driving in straight lines. But I'm spinning my wheels, wasting my gas, following bad directions. And every turn I feel I'm going too fast, think I drove right past the exit. I've been ready, I've been set, I keep going but I forget where I'm even headed. I just know I'm not there. Spinning my wheels, wasting my gas, following bad directions. Every turn I feel I'm going too fast, think I drove right past the exit. I'm ready, I've been set, I keep going but I forget where I'm even headed. I just know I'm not there yet. It's the title track.
The title track, here it is. I'm not there yet. Hayden Joseph here. The Backstage Pass. We'll do one final timeout as we're live on the Backstage Pass YouTube channel. And, of course, powered by the website. We're live on the website right now, the sportsguyspodcast.com. I'm not there yet. The current EP from Hayden Joseph. Check out HaydenJosephMusic.com. Word from Bangtail Whiskey and our good friends over at MitchMacs. Coming right back, rapid fire. Hayden Joseph, see how interesting this will get. Rapid series of funny questions, and we'll get to know him more on a personal basis. Hang tight.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the sportsguyspodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the sportsguyspodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And, of course, back here on the show again. Tomorrow, Clay Airy is going to join us at 4 o'clock. And then, of course, next week, Colby Cooper back here on the program. It's interesting to catch up with Colby and his camp. A lot of cool things going on there as he is rising up the charts and becoming one of the biggest names from Texas all the way to Nashville, Tennessee. Colby Cooper on the program next week. And then, of course, some more interesting names every day. There's a great show out there for you at the sportsguyspodcast.com and, of course, the Backstage Pass YouTube channel we're live on right now. Hayden Joseph joining us here, and it's time for the fastest growing, I guess you could say. Well, I guess at least for this show it is. A game show that we know we call Rapid Fire. So a series of funny questions go out there, and we get to know Hayden more on a personal basis. The cool thing is no right or wrong answers that get set out there. So first one up is as far as cooking or takeout, what's your favorite kind of meal that you get into? Is it a little bit of everything, or is there one kind of go-to, cuisine that you're like, I like this over something else?
Oh, Mexican, 100%.
Mexican, okay.
Yeah.
Cooking or takeout mostly for Mexican?
Oh, for the Mexican piece, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely takeout. I mean, I love to cook. I love to cook, but that is a meal that I really don't like to cook.
What's your favorite dish to cook?
What is my favorite dish to cook? Oh, you put me on the spot. See, I do home chef, so I like making fish. I like salmon dishes.
All right, that's one of my favorites too, no doubt. I try to stay away from the red meat now and go more salmon, chicken, and pork if I can myself too. Yeah, I'm trying to get away from the beef. It's just one of those things. I don't know. Just if it's beef, it's got to be the organic beef they put out there too at the same time, and no antibiotics and all that kind of stuff right there. But definitely getting into more kind of the fish side of things. Trying to get away from the fried side, but at the same time, it's still bad here. I mean, here in Texas, you live around fried stuff, crawfish, and everything else out there the entire time. And of course, Italian food. That's one of my weaknesses there too. Pastas and noodles and stuff like that. All right, favorite movies or cartoons growing up? What were you into?
Well, my favorite cartoon growing up, still honestly, is SpongeBob.
Yeah.
I regularly quote SpongeBob as a near 30-something adult, but probably daily.
Is there a couple of movies that stick out for you, or what's kind of the latest series you've been binge watching?
My favorite movie of all time, this is going to make me seem dumb, but like my favorite movie of all time is a movie called Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds and Amy Smart. It's like a Christmas rom-com. I love it. I can quote it line by line, essentially. And then I'm currently binging The Flight Attendant on HBO, but I just caught up. So
you're not the first person to tell me that. My sister called me today and said I'm watching The Flight Attendant, HBO Max, and all that kind of stuff. And see, I got to check that out because I love that Kaylee Cuoco, who's in Big Bang Theory for a lot of years, is in that series there too. So I got to check out her shows. I've just not had a chance with a 2-year-old running around. I've not had a chance to catch up on my watching. It's a little tough, no doubt. Yeah, she's 2, and we're really getting into the terrible twos, no doubt. All right, I love this one too. Favorite car that you ever got to test drive? Let's put it this way: you walked to the lot knowing you probably couldn't afford it, but did you take the test drive anyway? And if you did, what make and model?
This is a hypothetical. This is not a real
hypothetical. Let's just do hypothetical too. That's fine. I've done the real thing myself. Like I did test drive a Hummer once, knowing I couldn't get it, and I settled for a Toyota. So whether it's hypothetical or real, just tell me what you'd like to do or what you've done.
I'm kind of like I like mom cars, if we're being honest. So like right now, I love to drive one of the new Jeep Wagoneers. They guzzle gas, I'm sure, but every time I see one on the road, I want to. I just bought a new Jeep. That's the only time I've ever actually been car shopping in my life, though.
Okay.
And I say new. It is 5 years old. It's new.
Yeah.
To me.
It's new to you. Yeah,
it's
that's all that matters. Yeah, I did that once with a Hummer. I was like, no, I won't be able to just. I knew it. He's like, well, just here's the keys, and I'm like, all right, let's just go with that Toyota, that Camry over there. Back when I was in high school, let's just get that thing over there. Plus, it saves a lot of gas, and it's not a gas guzzler, as you mentioned there too. At the same time, all right, if Hayden Joseph were to win the lottery tomorrow, whether it be Powerball or Mega Millions, get the lottery. Know you've won it, matched all 6 numbers. What's the first thing you do with the money?
What is the first thing I would do with the money? In this economy, I'd probably buy a house because who knows what they're going to give me. I could give you some like nice answer, like how much I'm going to donate to charity, but like I'd probably buy a house.
All right, back to food here. Food and drink, kind of. What's a good drink to wind up or wind down? What do you enjoy?
I'm not going to lie. I make myself Aperol spritzes at home, like probably 2 or 3 times a week.
All right, okay. All right. Now, it's a food question here. When it comes to pizza, and it's just pizza for Hayden Joseph, what toppings go on it?
Black olives is probably my number 1, followed by bacon, and I don't like red sauce.
Really? So you go more white sauce, more barbecue, more like that type of
no sauce? Like I was the child that was like, I don't want any red sauce in the pizza. Like just put cheese in the bread.
Kind of like the play day. Sometimes we'll go get burgers and we're like, yeah, that's just too much stuff stacked on top of it. And the wife will look at us, yeah, for the kid, just get meat cheese, plain meat cheese. And I got a nephew the same way. He's like, I can't. I was like, mayonnaise, mustard, condiments. What do you want on it?
I still get my plain. I'm almost 30. I only order plain burgers. I like
There's
to.
nothing wrong with that. I tell people it's sometimes plain Jane is the best way to do it out there too. All right, do you remember this? This might take some thought. Do you remember the title of the first song that you ever wrote, or if you don't remember the title, what was the song about?
I do remember the title to the first song I ever wrote because it's on my first album.
Okay.
It's called "You'll Come Around," and I wrote it in the 8th grade.
Really? Okay. All right. And was there a reason, kind of a purpose behind that one? Was it more of just did it come naturally? Was it a personal experience?
The reason I wrote that song is because at the time it was like when Taylor Swift was like hitting her original crossover stride, and she had put out teardrops on my guitar and You Belong With Me, like in the span of like a year-ish from each other, and they're both very similar themes. And like as one does when they like are at an age where they're impressionable and like looking up to people and listening to music, I thought like I've been through this, like I want to write something similar, like this is really cool, and so that's what the original writing was. And I will say that 90% of those lyrics stayed the exact same from 8th grade Hayden to 24-year-old Hayden making that album. I changed very, very little of it because I'd never really found something that I could change that made it sound more genuine. I couldn't write that song again. It was so innocent. Like I could not write something like that anymore because it's so naive and innocent.
No, it's just, I tell you what, it's a great song. Like I said, it's off that first record again. Different is out there across all the platforms, so you guys can check that out. No doubt about it. You'll Come Around's the second song on that one, and of course, the latest one, I'm Not There Yet. Inspired by so many great icons now. We talked about that way back when, Garth Brooks and Taylor Swift and so many others, man. They grew up with some great taste in music, and what I love about it is, man, telling your story, doing your own thing, staying true to your roots, and you know what kind of artist you want to be, and it definitely shows in the music that you put out there. So again, the EP came out March 30th. It's I'm Not There Yet from Hayden Joseph, and check out HaydenJosephMusic.com out there for all your listening pleasures, tour dates, and of course merchandise, wherever you guys can find that good stuff out there. Hayden, I sure appreciate the time. Great to get to know you here on the show, and my friend, continue success going forward, and thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm playing at the Listening Room June 1st too, if anyone listening is in Nashville.
There you go.
Mitch,
I got to get us one place I did not get a chance to visit while I was there, but hopefully next year, CRS 2023, we could definitely do that. Listening Room is one of those spots. So June 1st, he's going to be there. Make sure you guys check it out. I'm Not There Yet, the EP, and of course the website. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 4 o'clock with Clay Airy on the show. And of course, next week, Texas country and Nashville recording artist Colby Cooper is going to stop by. It'll be interesting to see what's going on in his camp. And of course, got a hit called Breaking News out there right now, and he's doing some real kick-ass things with it too as well. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 4 on the Backstage Pass YouTube channel and at the sportsguyspodcast.com. Until then, have a great night. We'll see you soon.